Small business is about courage, risk-taking, independence, and we small business owners are survivors. Everybody has an idea for a business, but how do you take that idea from mind to market? This is the place to learn.
Small Business School with Hattie Bryant.
It's a new kind of school. Together we'll learn about business from the inside out, from the people who've done it. We'll meet the men and women who are today's pioneers and quiet heroes. Their lives are the textbooks. Our classroom is the world. Jody Johnson, Dave Young, Joe Fergus, and Mark Gross are all veterans who leverage their military experience, college degrees, and time in the corporate world to become founders of multi-million-dollar companies. You can learn their secrets.
When I met with the recruiter the very first time, I remember him asking me what I wanted to be, and I said I wanted to be a soldier.
So I joined the Coast Guard because I needed to join a service. And it was a great outfit.
I knew early on that I was always fascinated by science. And I remember taking a stroll around a plaza one day, and I saw a big sign that was advertising the Navy, and they had an oscilloscope. And I was just so captivated by that component, I actually told myself I had to learn to use that component. So I decided to enlist in the Navy and focused my tenure there on a profession that would give me access to those kind of equipment.
When I got out of the military, I went to college. Right after college, I was recruited by the Department of Justice. I went to work for the Justice Department for about 6 years. Worked on many of the major investigations within DOJ. My last one was the NASDAQ investigation back in the mid-90s.
And you went into the Army.
I did in 1982, so I was 20. And I was enlisted. I got out in '86, and I've been in the defense services industry ever since.
There was a command and control system on the ship I was on, and Tech had went into business on building and designing that command and control system, and it was a prototype. It was not even a production system. So the Tech founders were there on the ship making installations and upgrades, and I got to know them. And when my tour was over, or my hitch was over in the Coast Guard, instead of returning to the FBI, I joined Tech.
By the time I got out of the military, I went straight on into the engineering program at Norfolk State University. And on graduation, I went directly to the University of Illinois, got a master's degree in electrical engineering. And then I spent about 8 or 9 years at Bell Laboratories, which was essentially the foundation that allowed me to decide exactly what I wanted to do in business.
I felt that I had really done everything that I wanted to do within the government, and I wanted to change, and so I wanted to challenge myself again. And so I left government and went into corporate America.
Jody and Dave had success out of the blocks with Oberon and Associates because they had worked together for years at another firm.
We knew that we would be in the defense services industry, and we both had a background in intelligence. When I got out of the military, I worked briefly for an aerospace company, and then I joined a very small company called Tech Associates, which was largely tactical intel and Army command and control work. And I really found a home there. I stayed there about 15 years, working for Dave Young, who's Oberon's president. And then we went through a series of acquisitions, and through those acquisitions I learned a lot, actually. We went from a privately held company to a publicly traded company to a much larger company. And it was during that time that while I was learning a lot about how different businesses operate and how the differences between privately held and publicly traded companies, I realized that I wasn't spending a lot of time with employees or customers, and that's my strong suit. And during those acquisitions, it was when I realized probably returning to a small business was right for me, and Dave and I decided together we would leave the company we were in and start Oberon in January of 2002.
What do you do when the two of you disagree?
Well, we don't disagree. We have truly, not only in Oberon, but probably going back into some of those previous companies that we had, I truthfully cannot think of a material disagreement. We've had I think we've worked so long together and we have such identical philosophies on what is important in a services business, particularly a federal services business, that it's just uncanny. I mean, we'll sometimes reply in emails to a question without seeing each other's reply, and the wording is almost the same. Not only is the answer the same, but the way we answer it is the same. It's
So you truly think alike.
We do, and it's just very natural.
At the time of this taping, Oberon had already reached $46 million in annual revenues with 500 employees. Our soldiers use its biometric automated tool set to gather data on terrorists, so the systems are at work globally.
Trust him and respect him, and when you have that, you can do almost anything. He also has probably the best business head in this business of anyone I know, and we have complementing strengths. He's especially strong on the contracts and F&A side. I'm especially strong in the HR and the business development. We both do business development. We both manage. I mean, I still even manage a program. Our very first customer at Oberon, I'm still the program manager. It's kind of hard to walk away from your first customer.
Joe Fergus is founder of Communication Technologies, which provides a range of system integration services to the federal government. He didn't have a partner to help him get started, but he had some savings.
One of the things I did at Bell Labs is that I invested into the Bell Systems savings plan. And by the time I left the lab, I had roughly about 100, a little more than that, 1,000, which I was able to use to get started with. But by the time I got my first contract, it was just all about gone, you know, all but maybe 1,000 of it, you know what I mean? And then when you get your first contract, you have to perform. It takes time to perform, and you have bills and people to pay and salaries and payroll to make. So it's a while before you're able to actually pay yourself.
The sacrifice paid off. Today, Joe's company is doing $60 million in annual sales with nearly 1,000 employees. This is Mark Gross.
I started Oak Grove April 19th of 2003. So we've doubled in size in revenue and people every year. Today we have about 160 people. Our revenues are about $24 million. I started it feet first, 100%. I didn't do it part-time. And what I tell people, to start and grow a business, it's an 80-hour-a-week job. You can't do it part-time.
Okay, how did you fund your life when you quit the corporate job and then had the idea for the piece of software you wanted to develop?
Yep.
How did you fund that time frame?
Well, we did for a short period of time, and the way I funded it was through savings, through credit cards, and I remortgaged my houses. At one point I had about $100,000 in credit cards, maxed out. That's certainly not fun. Of course, my wife thought it was $50,000, but
You didn't tell her about the other 50.
well, you know, you had to keep a little secret. It took me 4 years before I could take a vacation. One reason was I didn't have the time. The other reason is I didn't have the money. So it takes a while to establish yourself, and it's very humbling. I went from being a very successful corporate salesperson to being humbled, and I think that's good for people. I think it was good for me, but some people have a hard time with that.
In the early days, we self-funded the company for 2 years until we had a line of credit with our bank. And when you're working with someone that you completely trust, they never worried about, the checkbook. Who's writing checks and what are they going for? The exciting thing is we started hiring people, we got work, and we're making payroll, which meant we needed more money. My husband and I refinanced our house, and all the money from the refinance went into the company's account. And until we had a line of credit, there were a couple different times as we ramped up. Payroll was much richer than it had been, and we needed more money, and so that came out of our personal financing.
Right.
So the only loan I got for the company was refinancing my house.
When it came to getting started, Joe and Mark failed at their first attempt. They had to stop and listen to the marketplace.
The idea of starting a telecommunications company, I must admit, didn't come to me immediately. The objective then was to create an organization that is a small version of Bell Laboratories, where a small cadre of leading scientists can create some of the leading technology that people can actually use. However, when I started the company, realizing quickly that research and development takes money, and I didn't have any money to do that. So I turned the company into what is called a systems engineering and technical assistance company, where the brain power that myself and the engineers I can hire brought to the table were actually the commodity we offered.
Mark's first idea was to develop and sell middleware that allowed devices to communicate more smoothly. But like Joe Fergus, no one was buying his first idea. As a veteran, Mark learned through the Army's website how to go after federal government technology work.
Well, they provided us with a lot of information, a lot of training, a lot of real good insight onto you know, how things work, how to get into the agencies, that sort of thing. And so, I mean, information is power.
We have this incredible network of partners.
Scott Denniston is director of the Office of Small Business and the Center for Veterans Enterprise at the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Our website is vetbiz.gov. That's where veterans should come to start the process. Now, we know that we can't do business development from Washington, which is where we're located. That in order to have a successful small business, you have to have a network of support people, a banker, a lawyer, an accountant, a marketeer. So one of the objectives that we have in the Center for Veterans Enterprise is to be a clearinghouse of information.
I want to know how you got your first deal.
I was brought into the Department of Veterans Affairs by the Deputy CIO to do a capabilities brief. I went in, I had 15 minutes to deliver our brief, and went in, I delivered the brief, and I was on my way back to the office when I got a call, and they asked if I could come back in. And so I went back in, we talked for another hour or so, and they put out a procurement, we bid it, so we weren't given anything. We had to write a technically compliant proposal. Our pricing had to be competitive. We did that, and we won. I believe at the time it was about a $1.6 million contract, so it was very big. I mean, $1.6 million for a small business.
Today, Mark's company, Oak Grove Technologies, has key contracts to help prepare the military for the battlefield. Soldiers take online lessons on how to be productive and safe in their assigned areas. And special forces learn how to operate weapons, their own and those found left by the enemy.
What my intent was to keep investing back in the company. So I hired more salespeople, I hired operations people, I hired contracts people, and so and that's been my philosophy through the years, is to continue to put forth the infrastructure that I need to compete at a level greater than where I am today.
SAIC's 44,000 employees provide professional services primarily to the U.S. government. Arnold Punaro's responsibilities there include the recruiting and mentoring of thousands of small businesses.
Well, small business is essential to SAIC. It has been from the early days. We've always had a passion for working with our small businesses. We started as a small business. We started with a $100,000 contract, and now we're $9+ billion. So we take that innovation, that leadership, that enthusiasm, that laser focus on accomplishing the mission that comes with having served in the U.S. military, and we give them the business skills to be successful, and then teaming together, we go work with our government customer and solve their most difficult problems.
SAIC was key to Joe's first government contract, but it was Joe who got his foot in the door.
And I told him, General, I'm Joe Fergus. I'm former Bell Laboratories. I have a company that specializes in technology, particularly telecommunications, and I'd like to come out and tell you what we do. Without thinking, the general says, sure, come on out. I got the appointment, flew all the way to Arizona, drove 90 miles to Fort Huachuca. When I got there, his secretary led me to his conference room, and there were about 5 or 6 people in this conference room, colonels and directors and so forth. And of course, I am alone. I'm with all these guys, and I don't know what to expect. He spoke to me for about 25 minutes, telling me about his challenges, and I just stood there intently listening. When he was done speaking, I found myself going through various permutation of network architectures. A month later, I got a call from SAIC that says a general would like you on the team. So that's how we practically got started in this company.
I just stay very focused on.
Like Comtech, Oberon works with SAIC.
We actually, along with SAIC, have developed and fielded the first ever tactically deployed biometrics collection system in the history of warfare. It's very important, and it is saving lives every day.
We have a mentor-protege program where we go find small businesses or they find us, and we work with them to try to make them more successful. Many of these small businesses don't have the back office capability that they need to basically do government contracting, so we help train them and help them put in systems to be able to work with us and work with the government. But our main goal is to take these small businesses, to give them the same kind of chance our company had when we got started, to hopefully make them as successful as our company has been over the long term.
All of these companies have found success in doing business with the world's biggest customer, the U.S. government. The Department of Veterans Affairs helps smooth the way.
Primarily, we help all small businesses that want to sell goods and services to the department so that we can provide all the products and the benefits that we do to the veteran community. The second group, the Center for Veterans Enterprise, works with veteran and service-disabled veteran business owners who want to break into the federal marketplace, either directly with a large business as a subcontractor or directly to the federal agencies as a prime contractor to the government.
I think the real secret for us is a lot of small companies in the federal services business, I think, are formed by people that perhaps retire out of one of the military services. And the government has programs, as I think you're well aware, that set aside amounts of contract work for veteran-owned companies or service or hub zone, things like that. And I think a lot of people think that that's going to be easy because there's an amount that's being set aside. I'll form this company, I'll start getting contracts, and I'll prosper. But they don't know anything about the business. And in Jody, in my case, I've been in this business 33 years. Jody and I have worked together for 22 years, and she's been in the business 22 years. So Oberon's not it's a new company, but it's not new for us. And all the things we have been talking about, this is a very complicated business we're in.
You can't be successful in the federal marketplace if you aren't established and you don't have a track record. So we need to have people that have track records before we can actually help them.
It is different in many respects from the commercial marketplace. However, it is a learned art and profession to be in. The sales cycle is very different from that of the commercial sector. So once you get an understanding of the differences, then one has a choice as to which way they want to play. Very rarely do you find anyone who is really good at both. Usually you get people who are good at one or the other. They're just two different environments. But yes, it is particularly daunting at times to operate in the federal space.
At Oberon, everyone knows these tenets of the company. Number 1, employ a sense of urgency in all things that we do. Number 2, treat the customer as king. Number 3, build a career at Oberon. Don't just perform a job. Number 4, take smart, calculated risks. Don't fear failure as long as you learn from it. Number 5, no is a negative word. Never use it without asking how to get to yes. And number 6, work as a team. Guard against parochialism.
It's one of your unique selling propositions, I believe, that your customers pick up on, that you don't wait. You act, you do it now. There's energy, there's some enthusiasm,
Right.
or sense of let's get this done.
Yes, and our customers appreciate it, no matter what it is. I mean, if it's staffing quickly with good people, if it's getting invoices out, if it's responding to a technical problem, whatever. I mean, I think you're right. A lot of companies have let that get away from them, and the bigger you get, the easier, the harder it is.
Another one is the customer's king.
Well, the customer is king, and I think a lot of companies say that, but they don't follow through with it.
Okay, how do I know that around here?
Well, I think part of it goes with the setting, like I mentioned, we try to visit all of our customers at least 4 times a year, and they're around the world. And we don't get to the ones in Iraq 4 times a year, to be honest, because of the situation. But we try to get and talk to our customers. We try to have the next level of management talk to our customers on a continuous basis, find out what's going well, what's not going well. Just listening to them goes a long way. And without them, we don't have a business. That's a very simple thing to say, but again, I think it does escape some people over time.
These fast-growing companies have to compete for talent.
There are several reasons why I think that this would be a great place to work. First, our salaries are exceptionally competitive. That's one aspect of the equation. Our benefit packages are competitive with the industry, and we offer things like 401k and tuition reimbursement, those kind of things. So I think that there are some things that any family can hold on to. But more importantly, we offer, the kind of work that people are interested in doing.
It's a great honor to do what we do every day. I mean, we get to support and train our soldiers, and that training has real consequences.
Well, that's very impressive.
I try to create a real pleasant work environment. I mean, and so we encourage telecommuting. We're very flexible with people. I'm a big believer in, so long as the job gets done and the customer's happy, everything else is irrelevant to me. If we have the right people, we generally don't have to micromanage.
Our product, as I mentioned earlier, is our people. We sell their services, and it takes a lot of time and energy to hire good people. So we want to retain them. We want them to build a career here, and you do that in a lot of the same ways you keep customers. You talk to them. Communication. You can make a lot of mistakes in business with your employees as long as you're talking to them.
We have a philosophy of sharing ownership with the folks who help us grow and who are overachieving here and helping Oberon achieve its corporate goals. So in the early days, Dave and I owned all the stock, but today we have 40 other shareholders, and some are very significant.
All of these entrepreneurs thought big from the start.
My mom used to say to me, start as you wish to proceed. And we built Oberon as we intended to proceed. So we built a finance and accounting, a contracts, a human resource, and a security infrastructure that would support us at 500 people. And we started from day one knowing that's where we're going. And by the way, I don't want to stop at 500. We're almost there. We'll hit 500 this month. But the intention was to not have stair steps and have to readjust every time we won some work.
Growth is important because it provides opportunities for your people that you're hiring. If you stop growing for any length of time, I think it's destructive because good people then start to feel a little stagnated.
So at 60 million, you said, whoops, I need a CFO?
You need CFO, need a new management team that understands the mechanics of going from a small business to a large business. And that has been a major struggle for us even today to get to that point.
Did you ever think your company would get this big?
I'm one of those people that can tell you flat out, yes, this is not where I want to be actually. I see my company being 100 times bigger than this.
We have a goal, and my goal is to be a $100 million company.
Would you keep coming to work every day after you hit the $100 million goal?
Well, to me, it's not work. I mean, to me, I enjoy what I do, so it's not a burden to me to come into the office. I mean, I like coming to work. I like the people that work with me, and so So the answer is yeah, I absolutely would still come in the office.
I wake up and it's like an adrenaline rush to go to work because you just know that you're going to do something great today.
I may not be in uniform anymore, but the work that we're doing, providing services and tools to the folks on the battlefield is very important, close to my heart. I think we're saving lives, and it's good to be part of that.
I think one of the reasons why we've enjoyed the success that we've enjoyed at Oberon is the risk-taking attitude and culture that we've had.
The objective isn't necessarily to have a lot of people, but to create technology that have an impact on many.
Our customers trust us, our employees trust us. We try to be the best at what we do.
It has been painful and it has taken me time, but no, I never thought about quitting, never.
Build on what you know with people you know. Invest everything. Listen to the marketplace and your mentors. Surround yourself with the brightest and the best. And most important, think big.
Small Business School with Hattie Bryant.
If you want to learn more about starting, running, and growing a business, come to our website, smallbusinessschool.org. There's streaming video and interactive study guides.
The only way we can compete with big business is to be faster, smarter, and better. We are the engine of the American economy. We create the jobs. Small business is about big commitment. It's about sacrifice and struggle. But we do it because we say, if I don't do this, my life won't be complete.